Young Mason, of course, the Cadet Rock champion last year. And one of these drivers is going to represent New Zealand at the International Rock Cup in Italy back in October, where KartSport New Zealand, in association, I think it was with Dunlop, will get them the chance to go and race over there with their flights, their engines, their pits, all sorts of things supplied. It is a huge thing to go for, and one of these lucky young drivers will be the second ever driver after Brianna Morris to take that trip of a lifetime. Well, Dylan Grant has yet to finish outside the top two. The WKS Race Engines driver started off with 2 second places through the heat races behind the 9 of Jacob Douglas. Turned the tables on that young man in that pre-final. Finds himself there on the grid number 1 position here on the front row. Well, they've really backed this down as they come off the final turn to face the start. Arguably the slowest start I have seen so far today. Racing the final Vortex Mini Rock. Grant will lead down into 1. Douglas slots up into 2nd place. Brilliant start for the top 2. Everyone getting through those first couple of corners nice and clean. 2 wide as they run through the Southern Paints corner. Down into the sweeper at Macaulay Ford. Grant just caught the ripple strip on the entry of that corner. That's allowed Douglas to stay in contention as they run through the final turn on the completion of lap number 1. Baccaris is in 3rd. 4th place is Skeets. Probst in 5th. Zeal Jones, just nothing's gone right as we go back to the race lead. New race leader, Douglas goes through. Douglas making an early pass here on the 20 of Grant. 3rd place, the 33 of Osborne. Look at that freight train behind. 18 laps to go. And Grant back down the inside, retakes the lead. These youngsters have got to be careful that they don't concentrate too much on each other. I know they've got a handy lead right now, but in 18 laps time, anything can happen. And if these two try and duke it out on the racetrack, they will just bring everybody back. Osborne in 3rd, Skeets in 4th, Baccaris 5th. 6th place, the South Island champ, Christensen. And down the inside again. Well, these two have got to be really careful. Grant's the race leader, looks over. Douglas in 2nd, Osborne 3rd. Here comes Christensen up the inside, makes his move for 5th. We'll keep an eye on that gap. It already looks like it's shrunk a little bit. Douglas back to 2nd place on Grant. Osborne sat in 3rd place for a little while now. Skeets has a quick look to his right. Now Grant's looking around. Grant just needs to keep his head down and go. Doesn't need to keep looking around to see that Douglas is there because it's quite... Oh, there goes Douglas again to the inside. Dives down and Grant's probably going to want to respond. And that gap is definitely shrinking. Maybe not by much, but it has reduced a little bit. And Grant will want to come back and respond on the 9 of Douglas. Osborne, Christensen, Skeets. Well, the South Island champion's certainly not out of the running for a podium. I wouldn't have thought so much this morning, but he's come on strong. Oh, he's just got to keep it on the racetrack. He went a little bit wide off the exit of that final turn as they duck and dive further back. 2 wide for about 8th, 9th position. Gets a little bit tight on the exit of 1. Contact at the rear of the field. You heard the galleries, the cries of the crowd. That's what alerted me to an incident, and I looked up. There it is. Oh, an interesting line off the sweeper there for the number 9 of Douglas, but he does hold the race lead. 14 to go. We're only 8 laps in. No, we're not. We're 12. I told you I got bad maths. So we almost go half race distance in the second of our finals here today. The International Kart Supplies Vortex Mini Rock. And Douglas is doing what I thought Grant was trying to do early on in this final, and that was make a break on the field and run away. He's got about a 4 kart length, 5 kart length lead over Grant. That number 9 kart has really come on strong mid-race. Still 33, Osborne there in third. But look at the pace out in front for Douglas. He was the Heat 1 and Heat 2 winner, second in the pre-final. Back out where he thinks he belongs perhaps here in this final to take a national championship. That's the plan. Continuing to stretch away, 10 laps to go. Douglas on fire.
And that time round there, Mike, Douglas has gone his personal best at 36.018. The only person to go faster is the South Island champ, Zach Christensen. And Clay Osborne's not far off either.
So 36.018 for the man out in front. The only other driver to match that pace is Christensen in third. 5 to go for Jacob Douglas, dominating the final. Grant in second, Christensen third, Osborne, Skeets, Manson. Young Jacob out in front. Man, this guy has just raised his level in this final, and that's what champions do. They're able to find an extra 10th when they need it. We got an early retirement, 51 is it? 52, Reef Jolly, Dunedin gone. 2 laps to go, race fans. Dominating out in front from Canterbury, Jacob Douglas. Douglas in front, he's got no such worries. But Dylan Grant must surely now have noticed that he is being chased down, and his second place position is coming under threat, and it will be a 1 lap dash for the finish for that one, as Jacob Douglas has 700 metres to go for a national title and a chance to represent New Zealand and Italy at the Rock Cup. Oh, pulling out of the draft, Christensen. Why did he go defensive? That's probably cost him a chance of second place. He's trying to stop Osborne from coming through in the 33, but if those two had worked together, they probably most surely would have caught Grant in second. Round through the final corners. This young man has proved himself to be a star of the final couple of turns. Vortex Mini Rock, a New Zealand champion, the 9 from Canterbury, Jacob Douglas. Second place is going to go to Dylan Grant, who will take third on the line. I think Christensen got it.
How close was that, Mike? And looking at the timing screens here, I'm seeing a gap for third place, the South Island champ, Zach Christensen, over Clay Osborne by 1/100th of a second.
Wow, yeah, well, that was real close. You know, I think those two made a slight mistake in focusing on each other in that last lap. I seriously think they could have caught Grant.
Yeah, and some really tight racing. To be honest, I would have expected there to be more karts in contention, and it sort of just shows how strong Jacob Douglas is in that class, and how from a very, very tight group, he's just gapped everyone. Really, really impressive drive.
Man, mid-race, that kart just came on so strong. You know, we know how fast Dylan Grant was all day, and that young man just drove away from him.
Yeah, exactly. Such an impressive performance, and I keep talking about it. This is some of the best racing that we see, and we see that through the live stream. We've now gone back to our top numbers, over 380 now watching. So thank you all for watching on the Giltrap Group live stream. We hope that you're enjoying it as much as I am at the moment. The heart has been racing through these finals.
Fantastic achievement, Jacob. I think it's all going to sink in the next few hours for you, young man. What a great, unassuming young man, young Jacob is there, Richard. He looks kind of overwhelmed by it all, but I'm sure as the time goes on, it'll sink in that he's just won himself a New Zealand title.
Yeah, it's like you say, overwhelmed is certainly one way to describe it. But watching him out on track, he was so composed. Not at any point did he look like he had any pressure on him, which is something that you hope to build on as a driver, and to have that skill at such a young age is phenomenal. So well done to him.
I'm hugely impressed with the number 9 of Douglas, the WKS KartStore driver. This kart has come on a ton. Grant can't stay with him. Well, certainly Jacob Douglas's race fans are going to be feeling a little bit anxious and nervous right now. 8 laps to a New Zealand title, 7 laps now as the board changes. Douglas driving sublime out in front. Christensen still under attack from Osborne. Skeets in 5th, Manson 6th, Aston Addy 7, Baccaris 8, Seal Jones 9, then the 36 and 10th of Liam Pink, the WKS KartStore driver, the first champion for them this weekend. Young Jacob Douglas from Canterbury, your New Zealand Vortex Mini Rock champion. Just great to see down here, all the WKS KartStore team just standing outside the weigh shed here waiting for young Jacob to come through. They already gave him a big rousing round of applause. Great to see that.